18th meeting. The first item on the agenda is the signing of the warrant.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next is the approval of the October 28th, 2013 minutes.
Motion.
Seconded.
I also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next item on the agenda is citizen participation. Does anybody have anything that they're not scheduled to participate in any part of the agenda? Not seeing anyone, we'll go on to the first of the public hearings and scheduled appointments. The first item on the agenda is the tax classification hearing. Good evening. Welcome again. We were just talking about how it seemed like yesterday we were doing this before. Well, I'll let you introduce yourselves and
Very good. Good evening. I'm Priscilla Hogan, the Assessor Administrator for the Board of Assessors.
they all know, Joe.
What?
You're gonna need that, I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Well, we are here again for the tax classification hearing. We have our values approved by the Department of Revenue for fiscal 2014. And as you can see on the slide, the residential values come in at $2,100,454,123. And that's 0.5825% of the total value of the town. We don't have any value in the open space, and the commercial values, they come in at $338,291,232. That's 12.3341% of the value of the town. We have our industrial class at $198,579,529, being 7.2402% of the value of the town, and personal property at $105,408,031 at 3.8432%, giving the commercial, industrial, personal property total value of 23.4175% of the value of the town. The total value of the town this year is $2,742,732,915. On this slide, it shows you the decreases and increases in the different classes from fiscal year 2013. These changes reflect not only our interim year adjustments to values, but also changes in many properties through inspections, permits, class changes, property going from taxable to exempt and vice versa, and any other changes that are done throughout the year. The residential open space class reflects a decrease of 2.1%. The commercial class reflects a decrease of 0.04%. The industrial reflects an increase of 6.36%. The largest piece of this increase in the value is from the new water treatment facility at the water company that increased value over $11 million. And the personal property class reflects a decrease of 1.23%. These numbers represent an overall decrease of 1.25% in the town's total value over last year. This slide represents the total town budget of $93,383,790.77. The estimated receipts for this year are $36,521,643.99. You subtract the estimated receipts from the town budget, and you have a tax levy, and that is at $56,862,146.78. That's the amount that needs to be raised by taxes. You take that amount, you divide it by the total taxable value of the town, times 1,000, and you come up with a single tax rate of $20.73 a thousand. This is a new slide this year. I thought it's reflective of what actually happened to properties with our interim year adjustments. We're not in a full reval this year, so we do an interim year adjustment. And it shows a little clearer than the average that you see on the next slide, which I show every year. So I thought this was an important slide to add. It shows that your single families are going down minimal 3%. Condos are going up a little over 1%. 2 and 3 families are down a little, 1.94. Multifamilies are down a little bit. Vacant land is down, and commercial and industrial properties stayed the same from interim year adjustments. That's reviewing sales, it's reviewing the income and expense forms, it's reviewing all the data on how to adjust values. So if nothing happened to your property, you didn't have a permit, you didn't tear anything down, whatever, your property would change in that percentage more than what it shows on the next slide. The next slide can be a little bit deceiving, which is why I put this in. This slide I show every year. When we look at this slide, we're looking at the difference in values, and we're looking at averages. So I'm going to explain 3 different categories once I get through here. When you look at the use code on the top line, everything that begins with the 1, that gets your residential rate. It begins with a 300 is the commercial and industrial, so that gets the commercial industrial rate. You can see the average single families went down 3.45%, and that's going to be right there in value. The slide that I just showed you comes in pretty close to that. We didn't have a lot of changes. We had some properties that went up or down from permits, or they took down a deck or a pool or those kinds of things. So that's pretty reflective of what the market was doing. The condos, this is one of the reasons I wanted to show you. The condos look like they're going up 2.58%, and it looks like the average tax bill is going up significantly, $229.31. So I wanted to explain that a little bit. When we have a new phase in a condo development, say Walden Woods, for example, and the new phase opens up, so there's 20 new condos. We open up a card for 20 condos with 0 values, which we did the prior year. So we had 20 new condos last year, but the values weren't there. They were all 0. Now this year, we had 38 condos that were either completed or built this year. So you're going to see 38 condo values in here, but you only had an increase of 2 parcels here because they were added last year. So it throws off your averages, which is what I was looking at. And I decided to put the slide before this in. So this is not really quite reflective. This shows all the new value in condos without adding new parcels. And of course, you take the value divided by the parcels, you have an average. It's not a real reflective average. The same thing happened in the multifamilies right here. Down here, it looks like it's going to go up 6.35%. But we have the new assisted living that's added in this value, and it's 50% complete as of the when we set values, and that's a little over $4 million that was added to the value. We didn't have any new parcel count added, so when you took the initial parcel count, divided that, it looks much higher than what the average actually is. We ran into the same problem with the industrial. The count stayed the same. The value went up $11 million. That's from the water treatment plant. So it looks like it's going up 12.29%, but that's the water treatment value added in there, so the average is a little bit thrown off. So I thought that was important to show out how the averages can change a little bit and not really be reflective of what happened when we adjusted values due to sales. This slide here is just showing you what the difference would be on a residential property if you decide to shift one way or another 1%. You can see the 1.48, which is the shift we were at last year, and it shows the value on top up in the red. The average is the $253,768, and then you can see a $300,000 home, $350,000, $400,000, etc. And you can see what the bill will be today if you stay with the 148 shift for these properties. We do have online all the new values and all the new properties if people want to go on and take a look at what their new values are and have been approved at. So I thought this would be helpful. We also show the commercial slide doing the exact same thing. This is the tax bill if the value is at $500,000 at the same shift. And it shows you the difference of what would happen if you change shifts for this value. This bill would go up 110 or 165. And here we come to a slide that I had to take out because the projector doesn't handle all the slides that I had. which was the budget slide, and I thought that was the briefest, most simplistic to take out. And that slide would have shown was we have a tax levy at $54,820,997.74 last year's, and this year's tax levy is $56,862,146.78, which gives us an increase of $2,041,149.04 for the budget. This is an increase of 3.72%. This slide is shown specifically for this hearing, and it shows you basically if you're going to shift. And right now, we're at the 148. If you remained the same, the average bill would go up 30. If the average house is assessed at $253,768, the average bill goes up $34.01, leaving an excess levy capacity of $1,394,949. Part of that $1,394,000 is the million that you put towards lowering the tax rate. And then you see the impact on the commercial property taxpayer as well, the 1.48, and it shows that the average tax bill for the $753,658 would go up $1,000, $1,030.79. So this public hearing also allows the Board of Selectmen to grant up to 20% off all the residential properties categorized as the principal residence of the owner. It excludes summer homes, rental properties, and apartments. The communities that usually adopt this exemptions are city or towns with many apartment buildings or oceanfront communities with summer rental homes. This allows the Board of Selectmen to shift more of the tax burden off the year-round residents. This exemption, if adopted, however, would increase the residential tax rate because the residential share of the levy must still be met. The determination of who would be eligible to receive this exemption would be extremely difficult to initiate and maintain in a community like Milford, where most homes are principal residences, and in trying to determine and keep track of which homes are actually rentals. There are currently only 14 communities out of 351 that adopt this exemption. This hearing also allows the Board of Selectmen to adopt the small commercial exemption. This exemption can reduce up to 10% of value on the qualifying commercial properties. Some of the qualifications for this exemption are that a business must have less than 10 employees, it has to have a value of less than $1 million, it needs to be on the list provided by the Department of Workforce and Development, the business has to occupy the space on January 1st, 2013. If this is adopted, it has the effect of reducing property taxes on some commercial properties and shifting those taxes onto non-qualifying commercial industrial properties. Administratively, this requires each qualifying parcel to be calculated separately prior to setting the tax rates, along with a setup cost for the information to be printed on tax bills. Currently, there are only 10 communities out of 351 that have adopted this exemption. And there you have it. It's up to you folks.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll go to the board members, see if they have any questions or comments. The assessor.
Once again, very lucky to have you, and nice job as always. I think you provide the information very factual, you do the research, and I think it's a great benefit to us and everyone else who deals with you, and also Joe and Sam at home. Thanks for all you do too. So, it's always tough when we do these things. I mean, we talk about, I think if you go back 10 years, I think we say the same things, taxes and, so as far as a single family at the 1.48, I think you said, Priscilla, that the tax bill will be $34 more
Yes,
for a $253,000 home,
that's right.
more or less, right? Okay.
Right.
And I think it's something that, the board has done whenever we have the money, to apply the $1 million, which is, significant. Because if we didn't do that, then the $34 would be something else, would be even higher.
Right.
So I think, the board always tries to do that. And if you just look at, I took some information I had last year. If we look at a $300,000 home, I think last year, single family, I I think the tax bill was around, probably $5,000, $5,085.
Right,
Okay. And this year, if we go to 1.48, it's 5307, which would be about $220 increase,
right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's still with the $1 million. Okay. So I just think that, like we've talked all the time, putting money away, being conservative, working, all that stuff, I think Milford, does it all. But, I look back 13 years, there was 6 times when we could not allocate money towards offsetting the tax rate. It was 0. So in those particular years, it's certainly difficult. But, those are the numbers, that's what it is. And it's, wonderful that the single-family home only went up $34,
Mhm.
In the past, I think you talked about like some trends, like before, the single families went up, and I think the 2 families, 3 families went down. And I think that differentiates every year.
It really does. What I'm seeing now as I enter deeds for this year, and especially as we're getting closer to the end of the year, you saw this year we had minor adjustments going down in values, but I don't see that trend happening for next year. I'm suspecting the market has made its turn, and I think next year you're going to see a little bit of an increase in the values now.
Okay,
The classes are always different, and
sure.
the single family and 2 families depending, but
So, no, I think, Mr. Chairman, I think it's great that single families only going up $34, and, it's also great that we could have, like last year, put $1 million. I don't think many communities do that.
Right.
As long as we can keep doing it. Thank you, Priscilla. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Dean. Brian?
Thank you, Priscilla. Great job again, as always.
thanks.
The numbers are very clear, very straightforward, and it seems that the 1.48 makes sense again this year. It's a very small increase for your average residential bill, and a relatively small increase as well in terms of the commercial. So I don't get the sense that there's any great market fluctuation or anything happening in the real estate world, as we have had a few times over the last 5 or 10 years, that would necessitate any type of change from the 148.
Okay. You done?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Again, same as the other members have said, we want to say that we appreciate the hard work that you do, and certainly the work that goes into the packet. We know that it's not easy. There are complex calculations that go in here, and we know that it also has to satisfy the requirements of the DOR and state. So with that, I want to go out to the members of the audience. Are there citizens that, because this is a public hearing, is there citizens that would like to speak? Okay. In the back?
Seeing it's a relatively small increase on the commercial, I would expect Mr. Harvey's check in the mail to help me to subsidize that. I would rather, being a Milford resident as well as a business owner, I would rather be.
As I am too, Mr. Leosh.
I know.
So my
But it's
check
not-
to the
it's not
commercial
a-
bill will be going in as well.
I understand that.
And I
It's
wouldn't
not a
expect your bill to
relatively
come to me to
it's-
subsidize that.
It's not a relatively small increase. $1,000 a year, every year, that's a little hard to take.
Well, when I say relative, I use that number relative to $22,000.
Where's the 22,000 as far as
That's the baseline.
The existing bill,
yeah.
okay? So
Okay.
when you talk about $22,000, $1,000 I think is a relatively small amount.
When you're talking $4,000 or $5,000, $34 is a very small amount. As a homeowner, I would rather pay the $49 and the $872 rather than the $34 and $1,030. Again, the percentage. What's the percentage? 1,000 of the 22 thousand, and what's the percentage? $34 of the $4,000 or $5,000. You're talking a lot smaller percentage, the $34. I mean, if we did it percentage-wise, the same percent residential and commercial, naturally, the commercial is gonna be a larger increase, but the percentage would be the same. So then, you know, the differences would be a lot less. So yes, the 1,000 maybe to some people is small, not to me. And again, it's a lot higher percentage than the $34 is of the 4,000 or 5,000.
Okay.
I would, you know, as always, I didn't come down last year, didn't want to bother you. It's just like coming to the dentist for me. I think I'd rather go to the dentist. But it's something that the last few years, it just keeps going, and it's easy for somebody to say it's not a big increase, but when you're struggling just to pay what you have to come up with another 1,000, it's just a little tough. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Is there anybody else, residents, that would like to speak? Okay. Now we'll go to the members of the board. Is there a motion?
Chair, I'd like to make 3 motions. The first one would be maintain the dual tax rate, and that would be at a 1.48.
Okay.
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous.
Next motion will be to not grant a residential exemption for properties that are the principal residence of the owner.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous.
And the last one, Mr. Chairman, to not grant a small commercial exemption.
Seconded.
Okay, I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Once again, thank you very much for the information you provided and the hard work that you do.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Priscilla.
All right, next item on the agenda is Star Rental Company, transfer location, Class 2 license.
Bye, Joe.
Bye, Joe.
Hi, Joe. Is there a representative from Star Rental here? Okay, come on up to the front desk. Careful of all the trip hazards and everything, you gotta walk around. All right, I just want to read from some of the information we have to kind of outline what it is that we're here for. Are you Ms. Ateas?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome.
Hello.
A note was sent to you per the Board of Selectmen will act upon your application for the above referenced license at a meeting scheduled for Monday, November 18th at 7:30 in room 3. Expected to be present, which you are. Any outstanding real estate or property taxes are expected to be paid in full, which they are. And if you're required by state law to provide workers' compensation coverage for your employees, must submit evidence of that. Additionally, we have information from the various department heads, and I'll read from that sheet. As is customary, we seek input from the department heads. This is an IC zone allowable use with special permit by the ZBA. Building is accessible. Restrooms are not. ZBA special permit this is from the town planner. Special permit 10/10/13. Planning board site plan approved 10/15. With the stipulation that no on-site sales of vehicles or unregistered vehicles be present. Tax collector indicates there's no outstanding taxes. Town treasurer indicates there's no outstanding liens. The fire department and police department have no objections either. So looking at your license, maybe you could just describe what it is that you intend to do and what it is you're seeking a permit for.
Well, I just want to move my dealer license that was given to me at 206 East Main Street to my new location at 231 because the auction needs to have an updated address for me.
Okay.
Because I buy cars to rent and
Okay.
then sell them at the auctions.
All right,
That's it.
all right. Pretty straightforward, but I'll go to the board members to see if there's any questions or comments. Dean?
Ma'am, so 231 is down the street? That
Yes.
would be where?
I'm in Unit 4, right next door to the garage. So my unit is right next door to the Tech Pro Auto Works.
Okay. And you know about the, as the chairman said, No on-site sales and all that stuff.
Same as it's been for the last 7.5 years.
Okay. Okay, that's all, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Brian.
No questions, good luck with everything.
Thank you.
I have no questions either. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Lots of luck to you in your new location.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have an application from Courtyard Management Corporation doing business as Courtyard Marriott, specifically seeking alterations of the premises. Again, you were provided a notice, and that information is here, indicating the time and date. And what, it looks specifically like you want to relocate where alcohol is stored.
Well, first of all, my name is Gregory DeMarcus. I'm an attorney from Lynn. I represent the applicant, and to my right is Joseph Tutela. He's the manager.
Thank you.
And yes, we don't want to relocate. We want to add an additional location in a locked refrigerator in the marketplace. So it's only for guests of the hotel. So if a guest of a hotel wanted a bottle of beer, the employee who will be tip certified, they're all tip certified, would open the bottle. There would be signage. It's only for, it's not an off-premises situation here. It's just another way to serve beverages to the hotel guests. Now, the current license says that liquor will be stored on first floor in a designated area. And we felt that maybe that was a little too vague, so we came in with this application, and we added the word marketplace, and then just saying including a locked cooler in the marketplace, and it would be locked. In other words, the customer can't go to the cooler and pull out the alcoholic beverages.
Okay. I also want to read from the various information that we've solicited from the various department heads. Building commissioner indicates IB zone allowable use. Building is, and restrooms are handicapped accessible. Town planner indicates they're okay with it and there's no change of actual use. Tax collector indicates there's no outstanding taxes. Treasurer indicates there's no outstanding liens. Fire chief has no objections, and the police chief's note is that no issues are concerned provided the employee is the point of sale to ensure proper identification of that people are over 21 years of age. You've indicated that employee is going to be tip certified. It means that we assume that they'd be trained and understand the laws in Massachusetts.
That's correct.
And the requirements of the license. Well, with that said, I'll go to the board members, see if they have any questions or comments for you.
Thanks, Bill. Sir, we had talked before the meeting, just briefly, and the logistics, how it's gonna work. So everybody will be carded, everybody has to be 21. If they bring, someone calls from a room, whatever, they have to make sure that 18 has to be checked out, just like everything else, right?
21, right.
21, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right. You still have, you have a bar at the hotel, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And currently, that's where the liquor is stored right now, behind the bar, in a cooler behind the bar. But we would be adding this to some beer and wine only to this locked refrigerator in the marketplace. And this is the exact same MO they have in the Lowell Hotel. And we went to Lowell and got permission to do this, and it was approved by the ABCC, and I think that's worked for a few years without a hitch, no
Ran
problems.
the same way at the Lowell Courtyard, where I managed that facility as well for years, no problems.
Okay. Ms. Chan, Chief, can you just give your opinion on this?
I have no issues.
Okay.
They run a very good business, and as long as they have someone at the point of sale, there's no concern.
Okay. Because if you don't, then you'll have to deal with the chief later on, so. All right, no, I just had those questions. I really wasn't sure at the beginning what we were trying to do, but, all right. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Brian?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I know what you're talking about. I've seen this in other hotels. It works very well, and like the chief said, you run a real nice business here in Milford, so best of luck to you.
Yeah, I've also seen the examples before, and it's good that you personally have experience with this type of sale. And as the board members have indicated, and the police chief has indicated, this isn't an establishment where we've had ongoing issues, and it's that reputation that you've earned and that effort that you've shown in the past and being compliant that it really makes this a lot easier from the standpoint of the Board of Selectmen. That good record stays with you and is well earned and deserved. Dean, is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. Take care. Good to see you again.
Next, we have I'm sorry, I almost skipped it. Next, we have 7:40 appointment with Attorney Joseph Antonellis from Bay State Relief. Good evening,
Joseph.
Joe. Good to see you again.
Oh.
Nice to see you. Nice to be here.
Good.
Busy times. With me tonight is Mike Dundas and Andrew Gold, who are principals of Bay State Relief. As you may know from my correspondence, my clients received both a special permit and a variance to operate a medical marijuana growing facility and dispensary. At one point, they had come to Milford looking for a growing area. Our bylaw, as you know, allows that. But they also felt that it was important to be able to provide services here in the town of Milford. And so when we went to the to the zoning board, we asked both for the ability to grow and for an area within the building to dispense, and they were granted that within their permit. And as part of the very competitive process, a very selective process that's going on in the Commonwealth, the Code of Massachusetts regulations ask that the Board of Selectmen, obviously the authority, the position of authority in town, send a letter of no opposition along with the applicants. My clients are presently involved in the next stage of the application process, having received the preliminary permits from both the zoning board and then the planning board. They were able to complete their application, get into the situation where they are being critically looked at by the state agency, the Department of Public Health, that will give them the license. And as part of that process, we wanted to be able to include within our application package a fairly generic letter that says that the board has considered the application, that there is no opposition to the establishment of this facility in the town of Milford. As part and parcel of what my clients have done, they've hired security people to do analysis of their building and how best to securitize not only their building, but the delivery of their product once it is grown and distributed as it will be under the state regulations. They have taken the opportunity to consult with our police chief, made contact with them, provided with their plans. And we're here tonight just to talk a little bit about my client and also, as I said, to seek that letter of, not approval, but letter of no opposition. My clients got interested in this project, as a lot of people have, mostly because they've had family members and people that are close to them that have suffered from cancer and the very, very significant effects of chemotherapy. And one of the very first things that medical marijuana was positioned for was as a treatment for the side effects of chemotherapeutic treatments in cancer. And that's kind of what got them involved in it. That is perhaps going to be the focus of their particular operation. We feel very comfortable that the building we selected and the manner in which we've gone about it is appropriate within the community. And again, we're here tonight to answer any questions, because you're the board, obviously, that sits mostly in the public view, but in this process, you're not really the board that we come through for licensing. And we thought, under the circumstances, this would serve two purposes: one, to seek your approval, and two, also to make an introduction and get you to understand or give you the opportunity to ask any questions if you had them of my clients. So with that brief presentation, we're here to try and answer any questions that you might have. And I'm glad that the chief of police is here. And just as an aside, I told the other boards this too. I think I got picked to do this because they called up and said, find us a lawyer who grew up in a pharmacy. And that would be me, because I made sodas at Carmichael's and then worked at my dad's pharmacy my whole life. So, well, when I was a kid. So delivered a lot of prescriptions.
May get a part-time job there too, right?
Perhaps.
Attorney Antonellis, I appreciate your introduction, and what I want to do is, just for the benefits of those that might be viewing at home, what I want to do is provide a little bit of history to the statewide referendum and Milford's activities since that referendum passed. And Jerry, can you just give us a little primer in terms of the history of this bylaw and why the applicant is in front of us this evening?
Well, yeah, as you know, the legislation passed, I'm not sure when it was, a couple of years ago, by referendum.
Yeah.
And very quickly, your board recognized that this was the will of the people, and you went forward and were part of developing a bylaw to govern it. And unlike other towns that tried to ban it or moratoriums while they studied it, we recognized fairly quickly we could set aside a couple of districts, and you did. There's 2 districts where it's allowed, and town meeting fully agreed with it, and it's by special permit by the Zoning Board of Appeals. They've already had 1 application which they've granted. There's another one came forward, which for reasons unrelated, they denied. So Milford is, sort of ahead of the game. We're not, like a lot of cities and towns, putting on moratoriums and going through a lot of studies. So the state regulations are strong, the statute's fairly strong, our bylaw is strong. So now what they're seeking now is, as you know from our discussion earlier, Joe and I have talked, and we agree upon the language of the letter, which is simply a letter of non-opposition. There's this odd provision in the regulations that talks about, them not mandating, but trying to get local, quote, support, end of quote. And this is really as far as any board should go, as far as I'm concerned. It's
Okay.
not supporting one over another, but simply saying you're not opposed.
Yeah, if you would, could you talk about, because this bylaw has been a while in the making, and as you said, was supported by town meeting, but can you talk to what a community leverage might be if no action and no, in other words, say we're not proactive in setting up a zoning bylaw and a
Well,
special permit
If
process?
you didn't have, if we had a moratorium situation, or if somehow none came to Milford, I think your board recognized this early on. There's a provision in the law, I'm not sure I've got the right words, but when
Right.
it's not easily accessible to have access to a facility that'll provide medical marijuana, there's an ability for me to do it homegrown. So it really, everybody sort of understood that there's some benefit to having a medical marijuana facility, not in every city or town, but reasonably nearby, so that you don't have everybody wanting to do and doing homegrown, which is really difficult to control, obviously. The best control is going to be in a facility like this, which does appear to be secure, safe, will be able to be observed. Whereas if we're in a community where you don't have one reasonably available, people are going to be able to free to make the application with the state, be registered to do the homegrown marijuana. Nothing wrong with that, but much more difficult to control, as I'm sure the chief would tell you.
And aside from homegrown, if there wasn't a particular zone that were allocated or zones allocated, what might an applicant be able to do if there
Well,
were no zones?
If we had no zones, if we didn't allow it, which is what our bylaw effectively did not do before, that's, would not be legal. You have to allow it. The Attorney General has ruled on that in overruling a couple of towns that tried to out and out ban it. So you're gonna have to allow it somewhere. It sort of relates in a sense to our adult entertainment thing. You're gonna have to allow it with reasonable restrictions, and we've done that. So I think Milford is well positioned in that regard. The 2 districts we have it in are really where it belongs.
Okay. I appreciate that background, and that helps a great deal. Dean, any comments or questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Joe, as far as, there'll be 35 licenses statewide?
It's my understanding there'll be 35 granted. I think 5 are destined for our Worcester
East,
County.
okay, us.
For this county.
Yep.
And I would presume that they'll be distributed throughout the county. There are obviously large population centers of Fitchburg, Leominster, and obviously the city of Worcester, and I would think perhaps Southbridge, Webster area, and then I think Milford well-positioned, especially with a community hospital here.
Right, and Dana-Farber, sure, yeah. And Joseph, if this thing were to come to fruition, what would be the hours of operation?
Well, I think that the hours of operation have been set by the board. The growing takes place basically all day long. There would be security personnel in the building at all time, and then the ability to get to the dispensary would be more regulated, much more like a drugstore, but not an all-night situation. And again, the integrity of the security system is such that they have to have a separate alarm system. If the alarm falters, there must be another system that you can prove is working at all times. So there's a backup alarm system, there'll be interior and exterior cameras, and basically then there's a significant separation between the grow area, where you have to have a pass key to get in and out, and the area that would be subject to, I hate to use the word retail, but it's where one would go, and they don't call it a prescription, it's a registration card. And I gave this example when we were at the zoning board. I don't mean to be repetitive, but I think it's important to know. As I said, I grew up in pharmacy. My sister Paul is a pharmacist. She said, someone walks into any pharmacy and gets any kind of medication that one can take, they can walk around the store and take it with a couple of Red Bulls and leave rather, kind of like sped up with their medication. But in this facility, there is no processing of the material, no one's going to be smoking or taking anything there. There's counseling that goes on with it. And unlike with standard prescriptions, if you have a registration card for medical marijuana, when that card is swiped in Milford, every distribution facility in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts will know that you are in that facility and that you've just swiped. So it's not like you can bounce around all over the place with multiple prescriptions unless you have different identities. That's how highly it's going to be regulated. So we don't expect a lot of foot traffic in there, Dino, not at all. But I think that, again, when people go in, there's counseling that takes place. There's an area for counseling. There's an area for processing from security standpoints. And then the main part of it is for the growing.
Oh, no, that's good, Joe. And Joseph, did you have to go to the Board of Health also, as far as the?
Not as far as
No.
this process goes, no.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Joe.
Brian?
Yeah, thank you. Joe, so this is a permitting process with the State Department of Public Health?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, but the local Board of Health, they're involved, aren't they? Are they?
I don't think we need a permit from the local Board of Health. I think they weighed in on the regulations, and I think they can have regulations as it relates to it. I'm not aware of
Okay.
any.
Yeah, they're considering a set of
Set
regulations
of- That's
right
what I
now,
heard, yeah.
All right, okay.
Not a separate licensing or approval
Okay,
process.
all right, so your license is directly from the state. What do you think the time frame is on that? Do you know
Michael,
what
I
that
think
process?
Mike Dundas is better positioned to answer that.
What kind of time process they
Yeah,
have?
it looks like we're gonna be submitting our application this week, actually, and then they've announced a tentative announcement date of January 31st. So somewhere around the end of the first month of the year.
And is the state gonna be issuing all of the licenses that they can at that time, or is there a gradual rollout, do you know?
They have not indicated to us
Okay.
how they're gonna release the licenses. It's our guess, and it's only speculation, that they will probably roll them out in stages, but we're not sure.
Okay, and then when you talked, I think, would you say 5 per Worcester County?
5 per county is my
Is it-
understanding.
Is that part of the statute that regulates
So,
the number?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I remember seeing something that there was a limitation, but I remember exactly how it was set up.
I think they've gone 5 per county.
Okay, all right.
I could actually just add to that to clarify. It's actually a little bit more complicated than that. They are allowing for a total of 35, no more than 35,
Throughout the whole state?
throughout the whole state of Massachusetts.
Yeah,
And then a minimum of 1 per county.
oh, I see,
So there's
okay.
14 counties in Massachusetts, so there'll be a minimum of 14 licenses given, and any given county is only allowed to have a
5.
maximum of 5.
That's
I
So they
see.
may or may not give the full 5
Full 5.
to any given county.
Okay, but it could be up to 5.
That's correct.
Okay, but it has to be at least 1 per county.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. And this letter, I guess, of, what is it, a letter of non-opposition?
Non-opposition.
No, I love
Very
that.
interesting,
I've-
yeah.
I've never seen that one
No,
before, but.
It's a nice form of art term there.
Yeah, yeah. So I see Jerry cited us the reg on that, and I take it this is gonna be part of your permit application process?
Yes, because when Jerry wanted to know about to whom is it addressed, it's a generic addressing to the Department of Public Health because it goes in as part of that package.
Okay, so that'll be part of your submission?
Correct.
Okay, great. And then if you are successful going forward, in terms of the operations, when you talk about a dispensary, so this will be available to the general public, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
I'd like to qualify that, just to say that it won't be available to walk-ins off the street who haven't been
Right.
approved by a physician and who also haven't registered with the Department of Public Health in advance.
okay, so is that like a prerequisite to even get in the door?
That's correct.
Okay, so is that the admission card that
Yes,
you were
yes,
talking
yes.
about?
So it's.
So it's locked
right.
otherwise, or?
It's open to the general public, but not, you can't shop there, so to
Well,
speak.
No, I meant that as opposed to, you cultivate, you grow a product, and then you ship it off to another location that somehow gets dispersed. That's not the case. You're gonna grow the product there, do whatever processing, and then through the limited system, qualified individuals can come forward. And they need a prescription for this?
What's the
How does
exact
that
term
work?
They
for
need
it?
what's called a certification from a physician.
Certification.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. And then obviously present that similar to a prescription
Right.
at a pharmacy.
That's correct.
And they get the product and they go, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, and Joe, I'm sure you've seen it in your practice as well. You run into people that are in some very horrible situations, and sometimes, this is the only relief that they have. And, I mean, hopefully I'm never in that position, but if I am, I would want all of the available means that you could possibly have, and this has helped people in those situations. I've had clients that have gone through it, and they swear by it. So, I mean, I was very pleased as this process went through, and I was anticipating, at least one coming to Milford, and I think it's great because it's another service and another benefit that folks who are suffering and can use this drug, it can ease their pain and make them a little bit more comfortable. So it sounds like you're proposing a very tight, well-structured, well-thought-out operation, and I wish you all the best, and I would welcome you to the town of Milford.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, and we have this letter that would be dated this evening, I'm guessing, and that it would be addressed to the Department of Public Health. It would be for benefit the applicant, and the motion, if it's so given, would authorize our town administrator to sign it. Basically, what it says is a letter of non-opposition to Bay State Relief. It indicates that Bay State Relief presented to the board its plans to operate, and provides further guidance stating that Milford has enacted a medical marijuana zoning bylaw provision requiring special permit for such use, and that Bay State Relief was granted such a permit, plus the necessary variance. A 20-day appeal period expired on November 6th without objection, and Bay State Relief is now in full compliance with our bylaw. In addition, Bay State Relief has met with Milford Police Chief Tom O'Laughlin, has asked for his input, making sure the security plan is in alignment with the interests of his department and adequately addresses security concerns of the people of Milford. Bay State Relief has also met with Milford Fire Chief John Toohey to discuss safety and emergency preparedness procedures for the facility. So with that being said, is there a motion for this?
That, I'd make a motion for the non-opposition,
Second.
as read by the chairman.
Seconded.
All right, I'd also vote in favor. That's unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you to the board. Mr.
Good
Chairman,
luck.
may I ask if Mr. Villani would sign it in, according to the regulation, the letter needs to come with blue ink on the signature. So if we could have it in blue, we'd be greatly appreciative of that.
Geez, Joe, you want everything.
Well,
Boy.
being a Milford High School graduate, I would ask for it in red, but they didn't do that, so thank you. We appreciate the board's time tonight. Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Good luck.
stay
Good
close
luck.
with the police chief, and anything that pops up, please
Joseph,
review with him.
nice seeing you, kid.
Good luck.
Okay, pal, you too.
I don't look good? That's all right.
Hey,
Yeah, I like
go
your
back
thing.
to
Nothing wrong with gray, is
1967.
there?
Carrying those books, right?
Next, we have town administrator's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A reminder that Town Hall will be closed at 1 PM on Wednesday, November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving. We'll reopen on Friday, November 29th. The winter parking ban will be in effect from December 1st, 2013 through March 15, 2014. Parking on the street is prohibited between midnight and 6 AM, regardless of weather conditions. Violators will be subject to a $25 fine. The Armory Renovation Committee would like to invite the members of this board to a meeting with its architect on Wednesday, November 20th of this week at 7 PM. Purpose of the meeting is to seek input from community organizations to better learn and determine objectives of the renovation project. There will be a brief presentation by the architect. I believe last town meeting, I was asked to look into the matter of the locating of snow removal equipment at the softball parking lot. I have been informed the equipment is required to be on site in the snow removal contract with the contractor. If it does not remain on site, we run the risk of not clearing the school in a timely manner. However, I have spoken with Rob Quinn, the facilities manager, and we discussed working out a plan whereby the equipment will be relocated prior to any major event, and we are also going to try to find a more permanent location in another area of the school so that we can get that equipment out of there on a permanent basis. Finally, two other items. I'm pleased to report the town hall roof is completed. The work was actually performed in 5 working days with minimal disruption on the operation of town hall business. There's no punch list to even deal
Wow.
with, so it was done in a
Nice.
we're very pleased. The police roof, too, is finally complete. There was a punch list. Items were completed on Friday of last week. A final walkthrough is scheduled for tomorrow, and we do expect a certificate of final completion to be issued, so that project should be concluded also.
No more water, chief?
And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, why don't I do this? I can have the members come back to you if they have any questions on what you reported. But I'd like to jump to old business and just have you keep going as it relates to contract for town hall telephone system, approval for town meeting warrant, and water company
Okay.
consultant update, which Jerry is here for, if we have any questions.
Okay. As the board knows, we did appropriate the sum of $60,000 at special town meeting in October for the purchase of a new telephone system for town hall. As the board also knows, the system currently is antiquated. We cannot get parts, maintenance, et cetera. I did research, along with our current IT director, the type of system needed for town hall. We looked into a premises-based phone system and a hosted cloud-based system. It's clear that the premises-based system is the better system when considering both cost and suitability factors. I also made a couple of site visits to actually look at the available telephone systems and backup support, and to see the systems in operation. We also did look at proposals from cloud-based systems. All companies that we have considered are on the state bid list and are ITT 50 vendors, which is the state contract. It would be my recommendation to award a contract to Total Communications, Inc. Their contract provides for 50 MyTel phones with the required software for the contract price of $49,886.26. In addition, we'll be able to include a 3-year maintenance and support program, which will include software updates, parts, labor, for an additional $12,062. One of the main reasons I'm recommending Total Communications is the backup support was vastly superior to other companies considered and looked at. Also, its quote for the hardware and software was the best quote in terms of price. And finally, this is a system that can be easily expanded to other town buildings, schools, highway department, et cetera, on a very cost-effective basis. So I would ask the board to vote to award this contract to Total Communications, Inc., and I do have the contracts here tonight, should the chairman wish to sign.
Okay, what's the will of the board?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor to approve a contract to Total Communications, Inc. For the value of $49,886.26. And now you also are including in this the award of the software.
Correct,
and
yes.
updates.
Yes.
At a 3-year contract for $12,062.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, next is approval of special town meeting warrant. Rick, why don't you go ahead and,
Yes, we have obviously a copy of the warrant for special town meeting, which
Yep.
is, as you know, scheduled for December 9th, 2013. I'm asking the board tonight to vote to approve and sign the warrant, should we need to go forward.
okay. Any comments,
Want a
questions?
Motion,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I also vote in favor, that's unanimous. So if you have the master, pass it to us, we can sign.
I will have one for you, yes, yeah.
Well, I guess I can do this one.
Yeah, you can just sign the back of that one, and then I'll, thank you.
Just need one.
Yes, yeah.
Dean?
Okay, yeah.
Next, we have Town Council Jerry Moody to discuss the Milford Water Company consultant update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, as you recall, at the most recent special town meeting, when the town appropriate $100,000 to begin the process of doing the necessary studies so that your board can make a determination as to whether or not it's worthwhile to go forward and perhaps go to town meeting to seek an ultimate appropriation to acquire the water company. As I indicated in several conversations, there was sort of like three parts to it. One was to get a feasibility study, essentially done by Dave Russell, who knows the system fairly well and who you folks know.
I want to get Tom to sign
Need your
that.
signature.
And also,
Sorry, Jerry.
it's all right,
Sorry,
I didn't,
Jerry.
what you were pointing at or what you're, you know.
I was trying to grab Tom.
Well, all right, you multitasking
His hair was
here.
sticking up.
Yeah,
I
right,
didn't mean
right,
to.
thought mine was, you know.
I mean to distract you.
Keep things moving along here. There's a Patriots game tonight.
Yes, that's right.
Become very comical tonight, huh?
So in any event, as I indicated, it was sort of like, I viewed it as three segments to the utilization of that money. And, you know, one was, again, a feasibility study undertaken by Dave Russell. You've got his proposal there. I think it's pretty comprehensive. It's going to tell us a lot when it's done. He's got a lump sum fee. I believe the number's $37,500. The second part of it, and very important, it relates to the proposal that you have in there from the law firm of Brown Rudnick. As I indicated, it's not that I want a legal opinion as to whether or not we can acquire the water company. We can. I want their analysis. It's going to be very helpful to us and give us a degree of independence on a number of issues, including the very important issue of what's the proper methodology to value water company property. That's extremely important. I may have one theory. There are other theories out there, but these folks, as you can see, are experts. The leader of the group is former chairman of the DPU and former general counsel of the DPU. Another member of the firm working on this is another former general counsel to the DPU, another assistant attorney general who used to work in the regulatory division. So these people are very, very good. They come highly recommended. They have no conflicts at all in this. They haven't represented the Milford Water Company, but they're heavily involved in utility work. So I'm very hopeful what we get out of them will really give us some good guidance that can help us ultimately determine whether or not we're going to take the next step. They put a number on there, approximately $20,000 or so, the upset figure on that. So getting those two in place, the third step will be, we'll make a decision later on, is whether or not to engage an appraiser with experience and knowledge in utility work and get that appraisal done. That would be the third piece, and that's where we'd end up spending in the range of the $100,000. And with all that in place, somewhere down the road, we'll know whether or not we can go to the next step. At some point in the process, we'll discuss too, later on, approaching, after we hear from Brown Rudnick, the proper approaches with the water company and or with the DPU as we have to. So all I'm seeking from your board tonight is for you to approve the concept of contracting with Brown Rudnick and with Dave Russell, PE, on the basis of what you have in front of you, and so we can move forward.
All right, Jerry, you know, having read it, it looks like you've picked the appropriate people with appropriate qualifications. What I didn't see, though, is timelines. So it isn't clear to me, and maybe I missed it because it was sufficient, you know.
I think it is, actually. There's a lot in Dave's in particular. He has a timeline in there.
It's on page 11.
All right,
Is that
that's what I
okay?
missed.
I know you have
Schedule
something
and
there.
timing, section 5.
Yeah, okay.
This is the Russell Consulting document.
Yep. So he's anticipating a draft report to be submitted somewhere around 12 weeks after a notice to proceed. He's sort of focusing on the possibility of having things ready for decision-making towards the annual town meeting, although that's not, you know, it's that particular town meeting is not cast in stone. So it looks like he's looking around 12 weeks. I think Brown Rudnick had indicated what they'd be looking at, too.
All right, so you're talking about their work having been completed for this phase somewhere around March, assuming some loss of time for the holiday.
Yeah, yeah. But that's for Dave Russell.
Right.
I don't see a time frame in Brown Rudnick,
I
but that's
didn't
not,
either.
that's not an
30
extraordinary.
days.
Oh, is it 30 days?
And to deliver
There
the
you go,
above
Brian.
described memorandum within 30 days of receipt of the town of Milford signed engagement letter.
There you go. So it is there, yeah.
All right.
So,
All right.
which is all they should need. So we should know quite a bit more within the next few months.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Is there a motion by the board?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what I really liked about it was, as you know, Jerry, we were involved in a couple of times before. One, with pretty good situation committee, looking to ascertain the information. The other time it was kind of really informal. But this really gets to the teeth of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, we've never, you're right, we had a citizens group before to look at it, but never with any backup,
No.
never with any ability to have any independent review or the kind of information you can only get by, expending money with experts.
If you
Now
look
we'll
at-
have that.
Yeah, getting the right information, I guess we've been trying to do that lately. Legal, financial ramifications. What I like about this, the key questions, I think we've all mentioned, I think it's important to say. What is the value of the current system, and what price might the town expect it would have to pay to acquire the water system? If acquired, what will it cost to own and operate the water system as an enterprise fund or through contract operations? What are the primary advantages and disadvantages of municipal ownership and operations? Given the likely range of acquisition prices and the capital and operational needs of the system, what will be projected retail water rates be, and how do those rates compare to the projected rates on the continued operation by the existing owners? And then what process and precedents exist for municipal takeover of a privately owned water company? I mean, those are the key questions, and I think as Mr. Russell says very nicely, adequately, I'm saying, this is probably not gonna be a friendly takeover, so I think we really need to do stuff like this to get the right information so we can make an informed
I certainly
decision.
can't speak for the water company, but in brief comments I've had with them, they've made it quite clear in the past that they have no interest in selling. So I anticipate that, unless that changes, and things can change, no question about it. But if it doesn't, then we're gonna go through whatever process is spelled out through the DPU, who will ultimately set the price, and we'll go through all the litigation that'll surround that. It'll be extensive, I expect.
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah,
Other-
so if we're gonna do it, might as well do it right, and
That's
one way or the other.
the only way.
Yeah, no, Dave Russell's top-notch. We've been, had the pleasure of working with him on many rate cases, and talked to Dave. He knows the Milford Water Company inside and out.
Well, he does now, that's one great advantage here.
Yeah,
He
and-
knows it inside out, yeah.
And obviously very qualified, so his proposal is right on. I'm not, familiar with Brown Rudnick, but, the team they're presenting obviously is impressive and seems very qualified to grab that administrative regulation proposal, the view really from the DPU. So I think that's an important aspect also. So it looks as though you're lining up some good players to give us some good information.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry, I would agree with the board members and say that we're asking the right questions, and we've got the right group of people that are going to be able to answer those questions. So with that said,
Motion,
is
Mr.
there a
Chairman.
motion? Okay.
Seconded.
To go
I'll-
forward,
I'll also vote in favor. You have the authorization. to
Great. All right.
Start the consultancy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate your help.
All right.
The one thing I didn't do, I wanted to go back to it, is we jumped a little bit. I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions or comments as related to the town administrator's report.
no.
Okay. Not hearing
No,
any.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
We'll jump ahead.
All set.
Thank you. Next, we have new business. Town administrator, release of executive session minutes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just ask the board to approve a notification of intent to release the following executive session minutes: August 22nd, 2011, August 6th, October 15th, November 5th, December 3rd, December 19th, 2012, and January 28th, 2013. And I would ask the board to approve, again, that notification of intent, and then on the 2nd, we'd actually have them ready, available for release.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Next, we have Milford Cultural Council appointments.
Mr. Chairman, we have 3 openings.
Yeah,
We
there are
do.
a number of openings here. All 3 have applied
Okay.
through the talent bank to be considered. And I would ask that if the board is so inclined to approve all 3.
If the board members have had the opportunity to look over the applications, I'd just prefer to jump to any motion. We do have applications from Charlene Capone, Marco Canaro, and Leah Valenti.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is that for all 3? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
or-
well, unless you want to break.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll second it.
All right, I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next, we have the police chief, Tom O'Laughlin. Request to dispose of surplus vehicles. If there aren't any questions for the chief,
Motion.
Seconded.
all right, that motion is to make surplus a 2007 Ford Crown Vic and a 2008 Ford Crown Vic, and the VIN numbers in the memo. I'd also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next, we have a request from Jameson Mendal, tree removal, 235 East Main Street.
A motion for Christmas trees, right?
Christmas tree sales. It says tree removal in the application.
Yeah,
Seconded.
All right, I'll vote in favor. That's unanimous. Those hours are 9 to 9, 11/24/13 to 12/24/13. I don't know who's buying Christmas trees Christmas Eve, but they're going to be available. Next, we have a permit to obstruct. That permit to obstruct has been requested by the Milford Youth Football and Cheerleading Group. The contact person is Nicole Chesky, and the police chief has signed off on the locations for the tag day.
motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next, we have police chief on the next 5 or 6 items. And specifically, Chief, why don't you come up and we'll address these. Traffic aid request. On Hayward Street. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and just represent it?
Working with the town engineer, we took a look at Hayward Street. As you know, large number of vehicles take that left-hand turn coming westbound on Route 16. It tends to bottleneck Route 16 into the Route 85 exit. So coming off of one of the suggestions, actually from when we brought it to their attention, the consultants involved in the whole casino process, the engineers, we're looking to box out that intersection and to put a sign closer, about halfway between Olivas and the Hayward Street intersection, indicating, don't block the intersection. If people don't, that traffic will move smoothly, and you'll keep that corridor going westbound open. There's plenty of queue as far as, the lights up at Sacred Heart. So Vonnie and I wanted to, give this a shot, see if it works. The signs do work at some of the other intersections. Every once in a while you get someone that blocks, but they tend, for instance, over, North Bow, they tend to work. So we're gonna try boxing out the intersection.
Okay, and just for the benefit of the folks that don't have all the information in front of them, we also have a recommendation from town engineer Bonnie Reese, who also supports that recommendation of the box-out area.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, seconded.
I'd
Good
also vote
idea.
in favor. Chief, if you could, along a similar topic, I notice down by Milford Memorial Hall, we look at Moran's camera studio, and then we back up to Memorial Hall. It looks like that intersection is starting to back up and block the intersection by, I think,
With
Charlie's
Charlie's,
Market.
yeah.
I don't know if you've had an opportunity to observe that yet, or if you're hearing from residents or patrolmen, but I've had the complaint a couple of times. I had the opportunity to observe it the other day. If you could, in your, travels in the next...
What time of day did you see it?
It was about 5:30 when I personally observed it.
Yeah, I'll give it a look.
Yeah, if we could look at that. To be honest with you, it looks like, it appears to be a function of the no right turn in front of what was formerly the Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah.
and is now a laundromat. And it's queuing up, doing some of the same things you mentioned here. And
Sure.
I made note of it only because of this was in front of us
We're
today.
gonna look.
Thank you. A little off topic, but not much. All right, next we have traffic aid request for Court Street.
Just a very narrow street right here, runs, along Town Hall. The residents that live on the street are complaining that if you park a van or a truck on one side and then a vehicle on the other, you're just about getting by. Particularly as you come down to Spring Street, there's a very sharp bend. There's an elbow of the road there. So it presents difficulties for them attempting to come in and out of their driveways as well as just passing through. So it makes sense. The poles are
telephone poles, electrical poles are erected on one side, we can put the no parking on that side of the street, and the residents that I dealt with would be happy to see that.
Yeah, I gotta believe it'd be a particular hazard to emergency and fire personnel getting in there if vehicles were on both sides. So it makes sense to me. I'll ask for a motion.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
Also vote in favor, that's unanimous. Next, we have Traffic Aid Town Hall. And this is actually from go to Chief.
We're all involved.
Yeah, everybody, I was just gonna say, I've got one memo from Rick
Yeah,
and
sorry,
another.
yeah.
It's simply to provide added handicap parking spots on the evenings or days when we have events taking place here at Town Hall to allow people, everyone from the community to access those events.
Okay, and we have, once again, communication from Town Engineer Vonnie Reese agreeing. We have a note from Rick Villani, and I think the complaint as well, so makes sense to me.
Yeah. Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
Also vote in favor, that's unanimous. Speed regulation signs.
I'm working with the town administrator and with town engineer. Vonnie Reese and I actually took the speed regulations as they're presently within the town's traffic rules and regulations. We went around the entire town. We found some that weren't listed, but we found all that were, the exception of, I think, one that was missing. We took another look at those locations and requirements, whether or not, the speed regulation that was presently there was reasonable, or it should be altered. And those are the recommendations that we sent to the board. If the board approves us moving forward, as you know, under the general laws, Chapter 90, Section 18, we have to then go seek approval from Mass DOT. I'll send them the traffic studies. We'll use our own boxes to do the traffic studies, the black boxes. So it will expedite that process. And then once Mass DOT approves, it comes back to the board for your approval. If you approve, Mass DOT then goes back and gets registry and motor vehicle approval, and then the signs are put up or changed, or in any event, they're legal. So
Okay.
that's what we're attempting to do.
Any questions for the
Mr.
chief?
Chairman, I think, Chief, you took about a day with Vonnie going, and this is all inclusive, right, all these signs?
As I said, there were some signs that we found that somehow didn't make it to the regulations, but are appropriate for the particular roadway that they're on, so we listed them here. And we will take this through the process and make sure everything is squared away. And that's basically it. There's some streets that have signs on them, the speed limit's just too low. It's not necessary.
Right.
The roadway's wide enough, the line of sight is appropriate for the statutory speed limit, which is, if there's no sign, it's 30 miles an hour in a residential area or in a business district. So that's what Vonnie and I, yes, we spent the day, and I took her for a tour of the town. And
Very nice.
yes, it was,
Lovely day.
And I
Yes,
think
lovely
Mr. Chairman,
day.
I think we had one street where if you're going one way, it's 30, if you went the other way, it's 20. That's pretty good, right?
and the signs are right across from each other, so I guess you can drive faster in one direction than you can in the other. So our recommendations are there, and we try to break them out to show you the signs that are already listed in the regulations, the signs that are listed that we believe should be amended, and then the other signs.
Okay, I'd look for a motion to adopt
Motion,
the
Mr.
speed regulation signs as provided by the chief of police memo
Motion.
and from town engineer Vonnie Reese dated November 7th.
Motion.
Seconded.
I'd also vote in favor. Thank you, chief, for doing this work. I know it's something that's probably needed to be done for a while, and appreciate you going out and getting all that done and making it reasonable again. Now, grant application, let's talk about that.
This is a grant application that I was before the board a year ago, and I think the year prior to that. This is a joint application with the town of Framingham, the city of Marlborough, the town of Natick. Ashland was involved previously. I'm not quite sure that they are in this application. We were not funded the last two times. We're seeking $199,000, basically to create a crime analysis center at the Framingham Police Department. They'd draw down right from our computer system, our information, so they would do mapping for us. They would take offenses where you had similar descriptions in any of those communities and start to correlate them to one another to see if you're dealing with the same suspect. As you're doing drug investigations that might be complicated, you'll have the ability within that system to actually track your investigation and to create, you know, the whole profile on the investigation itself. So, very comprehensive. They did require this year that we go out to the state police, because they run the Fusion Center statewide, and to work with them so that our information would end up being shared with them. We've done that. Chief Ferguson from Framingham went and met with the Lieutenant Colonel at the state police. They're on board. So we feel pretty good this year that we might have a shot to be able to move forward with this project. There's no cost for us otherwise. It'd just be a great benefit from a policing perspective. So in order to sign the application, they broke down, MAPC broke down how different communities, so a mayor could sign,
Selectman, town manager.
Town manager could sign if the council said the town manager, in this case, town administrator, if the Board of Selectmen simply says that he can
Authorize.
etch his signature on there, allowing me to file the application.
You know, I know you look at this as kind of pro forma, and you've been doing this a while, and you've been doing a great job getting grants. And I know this is just an application, it's not an award. But once again, I just want to comment publicly, I appreciate that you're looking out for the best interests of the community, your department, and finding those grants that are available. And, you know, my guess is if you're awarded something like this, you know, a grant of this nature, that, you know, you're providing for better reports, better allocation of resources, and a whole host of things that might benefit your response times and investigations. So I appreciate, once again, I know this is just an application, but I appreciate your work.
Bill, motion.
Yes.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next, we have correspondence.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we had one add-on, the Milford High School Boosters permit for their Turkey Day 5K race.
Okay, yeah, and this is another fundraising event by the Milford High School Boosters Club. It's Thanksgiving Day morning, known as the Turkey Day 5K, and this has also been approved by the police chief, and their routes have been looked at.
Yeah, we work with them. We'll, you know, the auxiliary officers cover the intersection, so.
Great.
Never an issue.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. All right, chief, thank you. Next, we have correspondence.
Hope you're ready for kickoff.
Yes.
Is there a game tonight? Next, we have a letter from the Department of the Army Engineering Branch Division, and it's written to then, the records are not updated, Brian Murray, Chairman. And
Mr. Chairman, I think that, we talked about that a couple of months ago. We're putting together a letter, any in-kind contributions that by the engineer or anybody else in Town Hall doing work, will be able to receive credits once the project
to meet our portion
commences,
of the
yes.
obligations.
Hopefully next fall.
Okay. Next, we have a letter of resignation from Mary Martin.
Motion with the
Milford.
regret.
Okay. Brian, there's been a motion to accept the resignation of Mary Martin.
Oh,
Cultural-
seconded.
All right, I'll also vote in favor regretfully. Is there any informational correspondence the members would like to read?
No, not for me, Mr. Chairman.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. We do have an executive session to meet with town council regarding a lease for the radio station. Next, we also have two land proposals that have been submitted that we're going to review. That leaves this open session. We're closing this open session. We won't be returning to open session. I need a vote by the board.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. So now I need a roll call vote.
Aye, Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Aye. Again, we won't be returning to open session. Thank you very much.